There are few in history who are so successful in life, yet so unremembered in death, as Dr. Ralph Bunche. The statesman won the Nobel Prize, worked towards peace and liberty in Africa, was pivotal in the existence of the State of Israel, and helped secure the independence of Ghana. We now have an organization dedicated to him on campus, but many still wonder, who is Ralph Bunche?
I'm not sure who Ralph Bunche is. I've actually never heard that name before.
Ralph Bunche? I have no idea.
No, I do not.
Oh, I do not know.
I don't know, but I did go to an elementary school by him in New York.
Ralph Bunche, he was the first black Undersecretary General for the UN. He was the first black to win a Nobel Peace Prize. He was also a professor at Howard University. And a lot of people don't know, he was also there with Martin Luther King when Martin Luther King did I Have a Dream speech. He also made a presentation, he also gave a speech when Martin Luther King did that day also.
Ralph Bunche, he was the first graduate from Harvard in political science. Also the first African American to win the Nobel Peace Prize award. And he also promoted peace across the globe. Also, he advocated for the existence of Israel in the Middle East.
As a black man himself, I think he was one of the first actually who made major inroads into the United Nations and also tried to ensure that African Americans in the future play major roles in the United Nations. He more or less like championed the cause of African Americans and the cause into the United Nations. Before Ralph Bunche, we do not know of any primary African American at all who was significant in the United Nations until he came in. And once he was part of the United Nations, he was very instrumental in more or less like promoting various causes. And when I say causes, causes that were relevant to the interest of African Americans, but not only African Americans, but blacks in general in the diaspora and in the continent of Africa. So those were things that he passed on to us, and of course we are still cherishing from those today. We are still learning from those today. Primarily, he wanted for African Americans to embrace others of the same, let's say, of the same race, okay, and to ensure that we have a common concern in terms of the issues that we address from a global standpoint. Because if you look at it very discreetly, the problems, the concerns, the interest of African Americans are equally similar to the interest of blacks in other parts of this planet. But nonetheless, since African Americans have so much in terms of opportunities given here in America, Ralph Bunche wanted for African Americans to more or less like take the lead role in harnessing this cause or this interest that are common to people of African descent, and then champion this cause through the United Nations on the one hand and through various other organizations that may exist that work on a global level. Basically, he was able to promote the idea of independence for various African countries, that's one, and the idea of peace, okay, in our so-called global village. What has been happening was that before many countries in Africa actually realized independence, which came about, well, first you had Ghana in the mid-1950s, but mainly so in the 1960s. That's when many African countries actually acquired independence. Ralph Bunche ensured through the United Nations that colonial, and they started working on the so-called template for African countries to derive independence through the makings of the United Nations. And fortunately, as a result of that work, many African countries were able to derive their independence. And this peace effort actually that I mentioned about really that actually earned him the Nobel Prize was ensuring that stability take a hold not just in one particular African country but in many African countries, and to ensure also furthermore that there was no altercation or military kind of exchange between European countries and African countries.
As I understood, Ralph Bunche is a student society that encourages activism in the midst of minority groups on campus, and to try to interact as much as possible with international issues, and to try to break out of purely local issues to be informed of what's happening around them in the world. This is what I understood from it. And we've been hosted by them to give this panel discussion. And quite frankly, I was impressed because some of them are really interested in international affairs and they've done their homework.
The Ralph Bunche Society is basically a society who tries to, I guess, promote the values that Ralph Bunche stood for minority students, tries to create international opportunities through networking, through internship opportunities for minority students.
It kind of promotes us to get involved in global affairs and to have our learning on a global scale, and to promote international studies and understand different cultures, and just, like I said, just to promote us working together in international scale.